Stefany, thank you so much for joining me on the Modern Travel Agent podcast.
Hi, Chris. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to our chat today.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. I know you've been on a previous episode with Daniela in the weddings department, and we covered a lot about sort of the wedding side of Palladium Hotel Group. Of course, with this discussion, we want to talk more about the properties and the product. But before we get into that, I did want to kind of give maybe the audience a little bit of a background of your history, your experience in the industry, and kind of what led you up to where you are today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So I come actually from the tour operator side. And I started in the industry back in 2005 when I worked for Liberty and GoGo, which eventually became Flight Center. And then in 2012, I jumped over to ALG, and the beginning stages when it was just Chic Caribbean, and then eventually became part of Apple Leisure Group. But the interesting thing was that what I did for those two organizations was I was the product buyer that handled the destinations for product development. So I did the contracting and negotiations, the opposite of what I do now, the other side, I should say. And, it was fun though, because I determined the star ratings and I got to go to all different destinations, and I handled pretty much Mexico, the DR, actually I didn't say the DR, Mexico, Caribbean, and Central America, all of my career. And then COVID afforded me the opportunity to jump to this side of the business. And I started with Palladium as the Director of Retail Affairs back in May of 2021. So I'm here just a year and 4 months-ish, give or take. And what I'm doing is essentially working with the retail and consortia host agencies, et cetera, with a couple of smaller tour operators. And I'm sort of a liaison between the wholesale side and the retail side, where they dovetail and working in tandem with the BDMs. At a higher level, I do the strategy with folks like you and your accounts, while also working, helping out the travel agents here and there, and making sure that there is a bit of a vertical integration at all levels, not just the wholesale and then the BDM side.
Mm-hmm. And how great of an opportunity has it been for you to sort of see the different sides of that business, and to see sort of the wholesaler operator that does that give you just so much more perspective that you can kind of bring to the current role?
Absolutely. I can definitely say that coming from the tour operator side has assisted me immensely in my role, and vice versa, just having the exposure. But it's made my role really fun because I sort of have developed it along the way. I can really make it how I want to, but also it's nice to have the interaction at all different levels, and expanding my career. Hey, that's always a big benefit. So, and I get to meet some fabulous people along the way as well.
Absolutely. So I know that Palladium Hotel Group has a lot of beautiful properties, and there's sort of a lot of product to cover for agents that maybe they sell it or they're not as familiar. Maybe it's like a top level view of the different brands and kind of what they offer. And then we can kind of dive into the nitty gritty of the individual properties and sort of where they're located.
Perfect. So just a quick about our company. Palladium Hotel Group is a family-owned organization by the Matutes family out of Ibiza, Spain. We are the 7th largest Spanish hotel chain in the world, and we have hotels in actually 6 different countries. So you have, we have give or take 10 brands, I should say, in six destinations: Spain, Italy, Brazil, Dominican Republic, Jamaica, and Mexico. Over in Europe is where we have most of our brands, but in the Americas, we have the key hotel groups are the Grand Palladium Resorts, as well as the TRS brands, which are our adults only butler 24/7 service. So those are our luxury, the TRS brands. And we have one in Costa Mujeres, which is the area north of Cancun in Mexico. We have one TRS in the Riviera Maya. We have one in the Punta Cana complex in the Bavaro area, as well as one in Cap Cana. And I know that you're very familiar with that because you've done some wonderful footage, et cetera. And then we have the Grand Palladiums, which we have in Puerto Vallarta, I should say. Well, it's Vallarta, but it's Riviera Nayarit. So we have one resort there. And then we have in that same Costa Mujeres complex north of Cancun is the Grand Palladium. We actually have a subset there called Family Selection in Vallarta and in Costa Mujeres. And just as a point of reference, the picture behind me is from our Vallarta property. Family Selection is sort of a hotel within a hotel. And it is your 24/7 concierge service, but catering to the families where the children are the boss. The guests are given over 60, that's 60 different amenities just dedicated to the family, the facilities, their own restaurants, their own check-in areas within those two complexes, and Costa Mujeres being the second. Now, sticking with that, the Grand Palladium brand is also, we have 3 in Riviera Maya. And then we have the 3 in the Bávaro complex and 2 in Jamaica, as well as, again, as all the other brands in Spain. So that's just a little bit overview. But then we also have, this is something a lot of folks don't know, and I think this is something that really sets us apart. Everybody might have heard of a very specific, very well-known tennis player, Rafa Nadal. So we actually have the Rafa Nadal Tennis Center in the Costa Mujeres complex. We are the only ones that have this moniker under our brands in partnership with Rafa. And they are clay courts. It's a full training center, full immersion that sits on our complex where folks come down and do one-on-one training or group training just specifically dedicated to training on, tennis. But it's not included in the all-inclusive, just so you know, because it is an actual, specific brand for him. It's the only one in the Americas. And then we have our Zentropia spas, which we have an enormous one in Costa Mujeres, an enormous one in Jamaica, for example. And then the best and my favorite part, and Chris, I can't remember if you've seen this as part of your stays within our complex, is Chic Cabaret, which is probably one of the most fun things. And I could definitely say that this is something that I've never seen, especially coming from the tour operator segment, where I handled so many different all-inclusives across the Mexico and the Caribbean and Central America. This is a fully immersive show, major gastronomy experience, cabaret show, interactive, lots of singing and dancing. It's different than your typical entertainment that you see on a resort. It is specialized, and it's a full, gourmet experience, 3 hours. And I always tell everybody when I bring agents down to one of our complexes, we have them at the 3 complexes, I'll explain in a second, come hungry and come thirsty. If you do like to drink, they bring shots and all different drinks every 5 seconds, it seems. And, you do rounds with the MC. There's a really fun MC that does it on each of the complexes, but then the food is absolutely spectacular. It comes in a gorgeous presentation. One of the actual appetizers comes on a half frozen, looks like a conch shell. It's really cool, but it's actually all created out of ice. So really fantastic. And then, so there's a lot of different nuances that make our complexes very different. And then, as mentioned, Chic Cabaret, that's CHIC. That is in Costa Mujeres. We have one. And then we have one in Riviera Maya. And then we have one in Punta Cana in that complex. So it's really fun. So there's a couple of things that set us apart. And then one thing that folks have been asking about is the fact that we are now affiliated with Wyndham under their registry collection. So just a quick FYI, that does not mean they bought us. It's simply a strategic alliance where we will have access to a larger distribution channel based on the Wyndham name being such a strong brand within the Americas. So it basically is going to help give us a nudge over some of the competition, but nothing will be changing. And it's 14 or 15 of our resorts around the Americas that'll have this, with the exception of right now TRS Corral, which is has a different moniker because of the affiliation and the award that we've gotten with leading hotels of the world. So that holds a lot of weight by itself. So, so that's just a couple of items about our resorts. And, I think I quickly mentioned the complexes and what we have and some of the differences. And just so that quickly you're aware about Cap Cana, where this sits in a marina that's only 5 minutes from the resort. And this is truly our boutique property. So I like to just mention this quickly and separately, if you don't mind. It's only 115 rooms, and it's, as mentioned, 5 minutes from the airport, but it's close proximity to actually 6 different golf courses, excuse me. And that's one of the key things, is that we get a huge golf segment there that'll come in, and they like the fact that they can go to all of these, one being Teeth of the Dog over in, forgive me, I just lost the name of the resort, Casa de Campo, excuse me. And then, there's access to all the courses in Punta Cana, and, you have all of the other ones right there at Punta Espada, et cetera. So Corrales. So that's just some of the little tidbits about our resorts.
And that's great too. I've had the pleasure of experiencing so many of those different sort of sides of the properties that you have to kind of oftentimes experience as an agent to fully understand it. Seeing the TRS Cap Cana, they had the beautiful setup on the sort of garden gazebo on the sort of side of the property, wedding setup with a beautiful view of the marina and a sunset. It was incredible. And the property, though it's boutique and intimate, it doesn't feel crowded in any way, shape, or form. The way that it's sort of shaped and set up, it was. We were super, super impressed with that property when we saw it. And I know that more and more travelers are looking for sort of experiential travel, not just at the resort, but also getting off the property and experiencing different things. So, Punta Espada and Teeth, what is the name of the
Teeth of the Dog?
Teeth of the Dog. Yes, I was just reading up about both of those and how highly they're ranked as far as golf courses, not just in the world, but especially in the Caribbean. And so I think that as agents are always looking to find more and more unique experiences and more segmentation to kind of be narrow in knowing this property is great for this person. I think that is incredible. I love what y'all are doing on the brand side of that. With Rafa and Nadal, I had the opportunity to see that. I don't play tennis, but it's this beautiful, huge complex. They had very talented trainers working with kids on their serves, and they were playing, and you could just tell the kids were loving it. It was sort of this incredible experience. And then it's like right there, not that far from the beach and everything else, and beautiful amenities. So I was super impressed with that. I had the opportunity to see Chic Cabaret in the Dominican Republic. As a musician, I have to admit, I'm always like super like paying attention to the vocalists and the musicians at properties. Those singers are unbelievable. I mean, it is incredible. I was so impressed. And I think that, again, it's not just the sort of cookie cutter entertainment that you get at a lot of resorts. It's that sort of next level experience. As you said, 3 hours, they were just bringing drinks and food, and it was an incredible experience. So I think I love that about Palladium Hotel Group, that sort of this attention to, yes, there's something quote unquote for everybody, but there's also this very narrow focus of people who want this type of experience. This is perfect for them, because if it's for everybody on the earth, it's not quite for anybody in particular. So I like that that y'all have done that. And I think I just have, I guess, maybe one question that can help agents and to help them understand all of the brands and everything. When you think about, let's say, TRS, when you think about Grand Palladium brands, when you think about the family selection side of Grand Palladium, how do you sort of see the personality profiles or the types of people that these properties are great for? If an agent's thinking, who should I be sending to these resorts?
Of course. So, I think, my wheels are turning with so many different ways to answer this. And, it's funny because one of the key elements that I would say to explain this is the fact that, just like you said, and, coming from the tour operator segment, I can definitely say that our resorts are all very unique. I like that they're not, like you mentioned, cookie cutter, and every single complex is fully different. For example, we can get right up your alley. We have an enormous amount of weddings at the Costa Mujeres complex, but you have the family selection there, as well as, Grand Palladium, but then you have TRS Corral that's right next to it. And just a fun little tip, TRS Corral, if anybody's ever seen the show Love is Blind, we have hosted the show there, and season 2, and there's talk that it's going to be done another season, and as well as maybe wink, wink, another show at one of our other complexes that will be similar in a reality type show. But what I really love about this complex, especially just speaking to your audience with the wedding segment, the Costa Mujeres complex has I call it a one-stop shop almost, because there's multi-gen are perfect there. You have obviously the family segment and the adults only segment, but we have an enormous convention center that is great for MICE, as well as even, to host weddings and our team does this beautiful setup there. And we actually have the Karen Busen weddings in there that we do through all of our resorts that, she has created packages just for Palladium that are just spectacular. If I wasn't married again already, I would go back and do it. Hey, you never know, it'll be a renewal there. But anyway, so one of the most striking things, aside from, as you mentioned, the tennis center, is we have this gorgeous, gorgeous chapel on the complex. And it is all floor to ceiling windows, as you've seen. And there's this beautiful gilding inside. It's white on the outside. And on one side, you see the ocean. And then one side, you get the most spectacular sunsets, sort of similar to the colors that we have behind us. And that's one of my favorite things, is the fact that, that resort has its own looking feel. It's more modern because it's our flagship newest resort that was built in 2018, opened in 19. And then you have Vallarta behind me, which is probably one of my favorite destinations. And, I come from the East Coast. A lot of East Coasters don't know much about Puerto Vallarta. This is about 45 minutes from the airport over in Riviera and Nayarit, which is the next state within Mexico. The Vallarta airport is actually in the state of Jalisco. So 45 minutes up, and there's this gorgeous coastline, not far from the most amazing attractions. The town of Sayulita is not far from there. And again, it's one of our smaller resorts, not as small as Cap Cana, but has its own unique feel. You have that Puerto Vallarta sort of decor that you get in the destination, and you have the Sierra Madre Mountains, not too far from there. So it's just breathtaking because it's West Coast too. You get these amazing sunsets. Riviera Maya has that Yucatan feel throughout the complex, and TRS Yucatan, which I know you're going to be going to soon. Can't wait for you to see it. That's, sticking with the fact that we have the 3 Grand Palladiums there, and we have the TRS Yucatan. Forgive me, my brain just wants to talk about Turquesa. So it was where I was most recent. That's why. But Yucatan has a special feel within that complex because the rooms have a little bit of a fun, modern feel. And then you have a section that is water sort of goes throughout the complex. And some of the rooms the romance bungalows sit right over the water. So it's really just really cool and unique. And, even though it's an hour and a half from the airport based on traffic, but, it sits in a great location for those that want to go to some of the ruins or want to go to Akumal and Tulum and Koba. And you can, Koba, the actual pyramid is not far from there. It's within a couple of minutes. And you also have Xcaret down there, and, many of Shalha are down that location closer, and, maybe about a half an hour to Playa del Carmen. So it has a really great location based on that. And then, of course, Punta Cana, you have the amazing tropical feel that you see in Punta Cana, the really lush, incredibly beautiful palm trees, and you're immersed within that sort of experience there. And, our resorts have a very different feel, one from the other as well. And then TRS Turquesa, which has been in my head, is not an enormous property at all. And it sits, they all sort of sit adjacent to each other, and they're perpendicular to the ocean. And so you'll see these really great rooms, and you can pretty much see, even if you're not in what's called an ocean view room, and many of the rooms you can actually see the sea from there, which is kind of cool. And then Jamaica, 30 minutes from the airport, it sits out on a gorgeous peninsula. The 2 resorts, Lady Hamilton and Grand Palladium Jamaica, they sit sort of side by side next to each other, sharing facilities in the center. Talk about sunsets, absolutely incredible. This is on the way to Negril. So anybody who wants to go and, to the day and have the experiences out in Negril, and, go to Rick's Cafe, the famous place, it's, not too far from there. And that one also has a very Jamaican sort of plantation style as you walk around the resort. So everything has its own unique feel. And we've already talked about Cap Cana. And, so with that, I would say that hopefully that sort of transcends where each person would, what type of person would go to each based on what they're looking for. So even though you might have the larger destination, complexes, but because each resort has its own feel, they're all perfect for weddings. They're all perfect for multi-generational. And again, the TRS brand, you have the adults only. Some of them are quieter, say Cap Cana, Turquesa, Yucatan. If somebody's looking for a little bit more active or a fun vacation, then definitely go to Coral. And
that pool was fun. We were having a good time.
Yeah, exactly. So I would say what's perfect is that in each of the complexes, say in Riviera Maya and Punta Cana, where you have 4 resorts, you have different price points as well. So talk about a full one-stop shop. So if you have guests that are staying at TRS Yucatan and you have folks that are looking to save a little bit more money or traveling with children, they can stay in the other parts. And then the wedding ceremony doesn't have to be at Yucatan. It could be at one of the other. We have probably 25, 30 different locations around that complex for wedding ceremonies. So there's a lot that can be done. And then just sticking with the wedding theme, if your agents happen to have a full, very large, or going to have, say, 115, 120, well, I should say 115 rooms, there can be a full buyout at TRS Cap Cana. And as long as it's a buyout, we can allow children there.
Okay.
So even, keeping in mind that a good portion of the rooms are king bedded, but they can bring in rollaways and cots and everything. But so that is an option. Most people don't realize that we're one of the few brands that will allow a full buyout because it's only 115 rooms and allow any type of, family stay as well as the adults only.
I love that. I love that you not just with the Cap Cana property, but with all the other resorts too, talking about just the unique options available, whether it's, Chic Cabaret, Rafa, Nadal, or the cenotes or the ruins, the experiences, Rick's Cafe. Again, I feel like travel has been trending more and more that way. People are looking for more experiential travel.
That's exactly where I was thinking of that.
Right? They want to get off the resort. They want to see new things. I know I was in Akumal for the first time in March, just doing some site inspections, and we did like a cenote tour, and it was just an incredible experience. And it's like I feel that's becoming a more and more important part of the travel experience. And agents too, to know the location of the properties and what's nearby is an important part. So I'm glad that you mentioned all of that. I think there's a lot of information that I think will be super helpful for agents as they're trying to pair the perfect destination with the perfect client. So I love that.
Thank you.
I know that there's a couple of things that I wanted to ask about to sort of to clarify. I know that there's oftentimes with family selection, there's different promotions kind of running at different times. I know one of the promotions that's running is 2 kids stay free. Can you maybe talk a little bit about that?
So absolutely. So this to me is something that coming from the tour operator mind is a really big asset, because in family selection, we are allowing 2 kids under 17 for free.
Wow.
In existing bedding, usually it's 12 and under or a certain age break, or, depending on which way the sun is rising and setting, maybe you'll get this and that, and, 1 child free on these days, blah, 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 during certain, but this is actually open booking window, open travel window, even over the high holidays. There's no restrictions. So 2 children under 17 in existing bedding are free in family selection. And again, as mentioned, that family gets a dedicated butler and a dedicated host, we call it, so that they can do a pre-check-in, a pre-arrival check-in or checklist, where if they need specific type of ice facilities or, to be fulfilled in the room or for bottles, or they need a bigger refrigerator or a second one, special meal options set up for the family, maybe if there's allergies and, something that knows anything that you can think of, extra towels because of blah, 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 blah. They can actually request all of that either prior to arrival by contacting the resort, or they can actually get there and do and request all this through the butler and the concierge, et cetera, that dedicated just to them.
I love that too, because again, all-inclusive resorts and what they offer is not the same now as it was 10 to 15 years ago. The standards have risen. Travelers are expecting more, especially 100%. In the North American market. Yeah. And so I love that that y'all are providing that to them. I love that, for instance, the butlers, you can WhatsApp them, you can make it super convenient and easy. They're going above and beyond, because sometimes there's butlers, quote unquote, and they're not really. And my experience of with the different properties is that it is more of the traditional butler who really is there for every detail and is available. And anything as far as you need sunscreen, they're bringing it by. You need your glasses. It's just that super small attention to detail that makes it special. And I love too, another thing, which I have to be honest, I used to always be so skeptical of 2 children stay free and promotions like that, because when I would plug different things in, it wasn't actually stay free. There was like some finagling of the rates and stuff. What I love about this promotion is that when you put in 2 adults and you put in 2 adults and 2 16-year-olds, it's the exact same price. It is it is a legitimate 2 children under 17 stay free. And I think that also gives agents that confidence to know that they can really sell that promotion, and that let's say the more nosy client who's going to go online and check the pricing and stuff, they're going to see the same thing that they're offering. So I love that. I love that too.
Exactly. And me too. And, and again, as mentioned, there's such a large amount of amenities that family gets. And, it's the family version of what we have for TRS brand, where the butler will take care of everything, et cetera. They get their own VIP bracelets, they get VIP check-ins, they get, as mentioned, the premium amenities in the room. They even get, in the family selection, the adults have the premium house wines, and they have everything that the TRS would have. And in fact, in Costa Mujeres, I don't know if you know this, that the adults that are staying in family selection with their children, say if they have grandparents traveling with them, or even if the family, the parents want to stay at the resort, the adults can go over. They have full access to TRS Corral next door.
Oh, wow.
So, so they can go over if they want to break from the children and leave them with the grandparents and go have dinner or go to that pool and whatnot. So it's just, there's a lot of different, exclusive access for that whole family, which is really kind of cool.
That's so much value too, because it's, to have access to the restaurants and facilities at TRS, and then vice versa too, for all the guests at TRS to have access to the restaurants at the Palladium. And we loved that, going over to sort of the little shopping center with all the restaurants, and we tried different things in the sports bar. Again, it's just, the standards are being raised, and I love that y'all are offering all these incredible experiences, because
yes, exactly. Thank you so much.
So there was another thing that I wanted to ask about. I know that you sent an email over, I believe it was about a week ago, maybe a week and 2 weeks ago, sort of detailing some of the new changes that are happening at the Jamaica properties. And so I wonder if you could maybe just talk a little bit about some of the renovations or what the work that's being done over those properties.
Correct. Absolutely. So we are in the process of a refurbishment at the Grand Palladium Jamaica, which, sits in that same complex with Lady Hamilton. If you're looking at the ocean, Lady Hamilton is on the right going out the peninsula, the true peninsula, the end of it. And then Jamaica is on the right. So the property has undergone a full refurbishment. It was in need of this. So now the whole complex will have been renovated and refurbished, or refreshed, I could say. And so the refurbishments will finish November 20. And I'm saying both renovation and refurbishment because the refurbishment is within the rooms and some of the facilities outside. The renovation portion is specific to, if you're looking at the ocean on the right, there's a bunch of buildings. They have the ground floor of those beachside rooms have received a plunge pool. So that's the only construction that we did, was we added it physically in swim up pools at the edge of those rooms, so that each room has their own dedicated area where they can walk right out into the water. So that's really exciting, because, the resort needed to have something fun like this. So there's actually several different room categories that have been reassorted, which you'll start to see in the system, including some of these beachside ocean views. So it's really going to be really pretty. I'm looking forward to getting down there sometime soon. And when I do, I'll definitely send you some pictures. And then speaking with the renovation side, just an FYI that in the Riviera Maya complex, Grand Palladium Kantenah will be undergoing some sort of updates and refurbishments next year between mid-April to mid-December. They haven't released a full detail of everything, but we're actually going to add family selection into that complex.
Yeah,
I'm very excited. So the hotel will be closed during this time, but keep in mind that you have Colonial right next door and you have White Sands there. And then, of course, you have TRS Yucatan. So there's plenty of rooms in that complex that the shutdown of Kantenah won't be an issue. So, but it's very exciting. I love that property as it is. It already has the brand new lobby from this year because unfortunately last year there was a fire in May. But the funny thing is it was literally just the palapa, the straw roof that was destroyed. And we had decided to take advantage of that and actually renovate that whole lobby for there and for Colonial. So it looks absolutely gorgeous. So you'll get to see that when you're there in 2 weeks or 3 weeks actually as well. But yeah, so we're doing some fun things. And then obviously with the Wyndham name there, you're going to see some updates pop up here and there at probably all of the resorts that are going to carry that flag as well. Maybe not full renovations, but they'll be sort of modernized and upgraded here and there. And, because we have a very long-term plan with Wyndham as being our partner in the industry. So it's really exciting. So there's good stuff coming with us. So keep in mind that, we are undergoing all sorts of things. So and we plan to do so. In fact, even our Europe hotels, while I don't have anything to do with those, I know a good amount, but we opened up our first TRS over there that's fully all-inclusive. So, there's a lot of different things happening within the company, just simply because the fact that we have, even before this partnership, being privately owned has its assets.
Right, yeah. That's fantastic.
Being part of a family, that they can really do what they want to do, and the sky is no limit there.
I love it. And so for agents that are maybe looking to stay connected, to keep up to date on sort of all the new stuff and to make sure that they're doing everything they can on their part to be educated, can you share a little bit about Palladium Connect and kind of what that offers to them?
Absolutely. So Palladium Connect is our system platform, I should say, that we have out there, coupled with a Booking Pro, which is where you can actually book bookings for and get commissions inside without having to go through a tour operator. But in all honesty, we don't care where you book. You can book through as a tour operator, you can book online, et cetera. As long as we're getting the bookings, we're impartial to which way it comes. We're just happy about that. But so Palladium Connect is kind of really cool because you have access to certain rewards, cash rewards. So you register yourself as an agent underneath the tour operator, and then you register your bookings. Then as you register the bookings, you can get cash rewards to travel and live the Palladium experience, as we say. Discounted rates are available for the travel agents. Once you have a certain amount of bookings registered within, you actually get seriously discounted rates. And if anybody's wink, if you're registering bookings and you want to go to Jamaica at some point, the rates through the travel agent part are killer. I can definitely tell you that because I've seen the rates for that versus the other rates out in the market. You'll register on www.palladiumconnect.com, all one word, and you'll register your bookings within 90 days. One of the questions that I receive all the time is with regards to registering groups in Palladium Connect, that when you register within 90 days, if the group is not traveling for another year, how could you do that? You don't know, the possible final room count, whether it's less, more, what the attrition, et cetera. So what the folks at our Palladium Connect team have done and advised is that what the agent needs to do is register the actual booking for the group. And usually it's a master booking number that you get from the travel agency or the tour operator, register that. And then obviously having all the rooms underneath that confirmation number that we give in our system to the tour operator. As the group gets finalized and everything through the process, as long as that group, the initial booking is made within the 90 days, then after the group travels and the agent gets paid, the group, our system called Prestige will know how many rooms were actually registered underneath that. And then the agent will get the actual payment for all of those rooms. So that's something that I just wanted to clarify, because there's definitely been some confusion or concern. So there's been agents who don't register groups because they don't think that they can get paid what they're actually supposed to. So as long as they do the initial registration, they should be fine. The system will account for it if they want to register at all, et cetera, and then go from there. It's always good also to have the agent go back in and just check even their regular bookings unassociated to a group, because obviously you're going to have some FIT groups with a wedding or, social group traveling together. Somebody might want to do a separate booking or they come on later after the group has been finalized, but don't want to, they want to do it outside of what the couple is going to get, et cetera, for one reason or another. And so there's a couple of different options there. So, hopefully it'll quell any fears of the fact that, the agents can make as much money as possible through the Palladium Connect system. And they enter within 90 days, you can become a Palladium specialist. There's an educational university within there where they can make more money that way. You can share the Palladium Connect experience with other agents, so refer other agents to sign up. That's how they can make more money. And then one of the last ways, which is also very important, is within there to write a review of one of the resorts or Palladium in general, and then they can make more money. So there's a couple of different ways to make some extra cash. So
and that I feel like that is one area that when we made that switch, it might have been 2015 or so, to say, okay, we're leaving money on the table by not doing certain things. We make it a priority. You really realize how much money you're missing by not participating in these programs.
Exactly.
And I think one of the biggest things that I learned too is for agents that maybe are feeling a little overwhelmed. I would recommend there's opportunities to hire people in shorts on the administrative side. We did that because we found out our agents are so busy and so stressed. It's hard for them to prioritize, let's say, registering bookings. And so you can say it a million times, but it's not always easy when they're juggling everything to do it. And so when we pivoted and we had basically assigned an administrative role, and they basically registered all of our bookings with all of our partners and did everything, all of a sudden it got done and we made a lot more money and had a lot. And it also helps too, because y'all also are aware then of the volume that the different agencies are doing. And it's a lot easier too for y'all to know who's booking what and to build those relationships. And that's also a fundamental part as well. A lot of agents don't necessarily know that.
Yes. And just a little thing I want to mention. So there's some really good stuff coming within Palladium Connect actually later this year, wink, wink. So I'm allowed to tell it. So, it's not like it has to stay just between you and I. So, but we're hoping to launch around Black Friday, Cyber Monday, a new system, which is going to be much more intuitive and less clunky, and it'll be easier to earn money and to get paid in particular. And that, keep an eye out for that, because that will be coming hopefully around then. They have completely changed the platform behind it. We've changed companies that'll be running this. Okay. For example, right now, Booking Pro, which is as mentioned, is our agent booking site, and Palladium Connect are two different run companies, two different systems. They don't speak to each other. They will be on a whole new platform that I believe Deloitte actually is running for us and creating from the ground up, based on all the feedback that a lot of our agents have given myself and our BDMs of what we need. I was on a huge project with all the points of what we need to get this better and easier. And I think Salesforce is going to be one of the types of components running some of the systems back there, which the two in tandem created this mega system for us. So keep an eye out, keep an ear out to all of you and all the agents, because this is going to make everybody's lives a lot easier. And Palladium Connect will truly be one of the leaders in the market at that point in time.
I love that. I mean, convenience is the name of the game. And if just let me know when that launches, I'd love to do like a video tutorial. I know that a lot of times it can be a little overwhelming for agents to take on new things with everything else. And so, I know that's I would love to just do a short video tutorial walkthrough, even if it's like 5 to 7 minutes, just to show them how easy it is, because sometimes that can take the anxiety of learning something new out. And
absolutely. And we have someone within Mexico, rather than, because it's usually the Palladium Connect team is in the true support team are in Spain, but we have a woman, her name is Guadalupe Cardenas. She is in Mexico in the Riviera Maya complex, and she does a lot of training as well with us in the BDMs. And the key takeaway to that, Chris, is the fact that we listened, we learned, we figured out what needed to be done. And that was one of the main takeaways, was that we needed to figure out a way to make the system a little better. So, thank you to you and to your team and to all the agents that persisted and helped us and guided us and consulted to make sure that we can deliver this program that's going to be a lot better for everybody all around.
I love it. And we certainly at Modern appreciate the partnership. And as you said, it's the ability to communicate and share that information back and forth. And I think also maybe your experience of working on different sides of the business, you also have some insight into all the value that those types of partnerships from every angle provides. And so as agents, of course, we always love when our partners are listening. We have that communication, and not just for us to tell them our wish list, but for them to also tell us what we can do better and how we can be better partners too. That's the beauty of the partnership. So,
absolutely. It's a mutual support and encouragement on both sides, without a doubt.
I love it. Well, Stefany, thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure to have you on again. And
excellent. Thank you so much, Chris. You take good care, and I'll speak to you soon.
Sounds great. Thanks, Stefany.